thank you all for getting out this morning and for coming to the Amarillo Art Institute. And is this so exciting to be in this building and to see all of the great things that are happening? But there's an even greater thing that's in the works that's going to happen here very shortly. And this morning I have two people to tell you about it. Rachel Flores, who's the Executive Director of the Amarillo Institute of Art, and Mark White, who is the Vice President at Amarillo College and a deacon at St. Thomas, the Apostle Church. And they've got some really exciting news about what's coming to Amarillo to bring a new and wonderful opportunity for people in Amarillo to experience the arts without ever having to leave town, in this case specifically without going to Rome. So I'll let Rachel tell you about it.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming. So I am basically giving the announcement that we are going to be hosting this summer the Michelangelo Sistine Chapel, the exhibition, here at Arts in the Sunset, June 9th through July 23rd. And we are so excited here at Arts in the Sunset to be having this be our inaugural exhibition. For those of you who hopefully know, we've been under renovations for the last 2 years. So to have this iconic and historic exhibition be our very first one just brings so much excitement here. The exhibition is going to feature 34 of the frescoes from the Sistine Chapel. It allows visitors to get up close and personal with them. It's a great way for people to experience something that they might not otherwise have the chance to experience. For those who have actually been to the Sistine Chapel, this is also a great way to get face-to-face with something that is so impactful both culturally and spiritually. One of the things that we're excited about is that this also spreads the way for us to be able to have more exhibitions of this kind here at Sunset. One thing that I wanted to mention, outside of the fact that tickets actually go on sale today, April 18th, you can purchase them online at artsinthesunset.org. There's a link to the tickets, so you can get them now. But also, this exhibit is very unique in the fact that it benefits many of the organizations here in our community. So the proceeds not only go to the Amarillo Art Institute, but they also go to Catholic Charities, Downtown Women's Center, and the Amarillo Cultural District. So it's definitely something that is here to benefit our community, and we hope that you guys will attend. I'm going to turn it over to Mark White, and he's going to give a little bit more information about how they're connected historically and why we should be appreciating this exhibition.
Thanks, Rachel. I'll make a few comments about the artwork. I am very excited about this. Of course, you know that the Sistine Chapel is the chapel for the Vatican. It was named after Pope Sixtus IV. He commissioned it in the 1470s. It is of central importance to the Vatican. Today, it's primarily used for these papal conclaves where they select a pope. It is said that it is in the Sistine Chapel where the Holy Spirit acts, because it illuminates the cardinals in selecting these popes. It's the most visited monument in the Vatican. Interestingly, the dimensions of the Sistine Chapel correspond exactly to those of Solomon's Temple. The paintings in the Sistine Chapel are truly the greatest artistic accomplishment of civilization. It was in 1994 that the paintings were restored, and when Pope St. John Paul II restored those and inaugurated the restoration, here's what he said about the Sistine Chapel. Everything that can be said about infinite divine majesty is said here. So by the time Michelangelo was commissioned by Pope Julius to paint the ceilings, the walls had already been painted by other artists depicting the life of Moses and the life of Christ. He painted the ceiling between 1508 and 1512, and he returned in 1535 to paint the Last Judgment, which is not on the ceiling, but it's on the end above the altar. Now, Michelangelo was a sculptor. He was not a painter. And he had no experience painting frescoes, which is a method of painting on freshly applied plaster with water-based colors. He had not done that before, yet he painted 5,380 square feet of frescoes in just a couple of years using only a handful of assistants. Interestingly, we have letters from that time where he was writing to his father, and we can see what he was feeling during those times. And what we find is he was not really happy doing this project, and he complained bitterly about paint falling in his face. All right, first let's talk about the main ceiling. Michelangelo brought to life 343 figures on 33 panels. The crux of this vast narrative that he painted are the 9 episodes of Genesis. The creation of the world, the creation of man, creation of woman, original sin, and so on. On the sides of the ceiling is the ancestry of Christ, and it follows the genealogy that we see in the Gospel of Matthew. The entire work is really an interpretation of an overall genealogical theme. That is the continuity of the story of creation to the Old Testament, to the life of Christ, even following to the popes, the successors of St. Peter. We know that Pope Julius must have had some hand in wanting this continuity depicted, because some men are depicted holding oak leaves and acorns, very similar to the coat of arms of his family. So look for that in the paintings. The art reveals Michelangelo's expertise in this artistic device called perspective foreshortening, creating an illusion of depth. The most famous parts of the ceiling are the creation of man, the creation of woman, and the fall. And these scenes are very, very dramatic in the paintings. For instance, in the creation of man, we've all seen that. God is stretching out his hand to Adam. Adam is reclined, stretching out his hand. But the hands do not touch, but they come close, causing the viewer to literally not be able to take his eyes off of that small gap. In the fall in the garden, we see a very unusual interpretation. Michelangelo paints Adam plucking the fruit from the tree while Eve is accepting it from the devil at the very same time. We even see a self-portrait of Michelangelo. Recall in the book of Judith, she beheads an Assyrian general who had invaded Israel. The painting of that head has the face thought to be the face of Michelangelo. Another interesting thing to look for. Now for the Last Judgment above the altar. It was painted 22 years later, and it brings to life, I think it took him 5 years to paint another 314 figures. The Last Judgment is literally a swirling vortex of angels and demons. You can see the saved going up to heaven, the damned going down to hell. You see many saints and apostles with all their traditional symbols. For instance, St. Peter will have the keys to the church. At the top, you see the instruments of torture from Christ's passion. You see the cross. You see figures carrying the scourging pillar. You see figures carrying the crown of thorns. The colors here are very vibrant, and the figures are so real. One can look at these paintings for hours and frankly be moved to tears. But here at the exhibit at the Amarillo Art Institute, you can literally stand several feet from them and soak it all in. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It's pretty remarkable that the most important artwork in all of civilization happens to depict scenes from the Bible. Thank you. Hope you come.
We're so happy that you came today. Thank you very much. Rachel and Mark are available to answer questions. I can answer questions also, but they can give you much deeper, more intricate answers than I can. And we hope you all come to see the exhibit. Thank you very much for coming today.
Hold on one second. Are you serious? Okay, I'll just hold this one. Which, wherever background you want, I was reading through.
I don't matter. You know what background I want? One that has a breakfast. First question. How come there's only white people in this talk? I wonder. It's going to create a little bit of issue with my. Although it makes sense though if you think about it.
He wants to interview all three of you, and so does the Globe News. No, we'll
Doing separate?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Is this one of the pieces?
This is not one of the pieces. These are clips from the exhibit, what the exhibit's going to look like. This is just all other art that's here in the, okay.
I'm assuming this exhibit somewhere else right now?
It's traveled all over the world. Plus it's been to Amarillo, Oklahoma City, and Albuquerque. So we're really, I mean, and it's been a major city.
Do you have an idea? Because I see the way it's set up here.
Oh, they're going to show you. You're going to have an opportunity. You can see the space where it's going to be.
Okay.
While you're here today.
Okay. That's what I was wondering.
Okay, I should have said that. I'll just tell everybody.
I have an idea.
One thing we did not say that you might want to know, you're going to have an opportunity while you're here to see the space where the exhibit's going to be. So don't rush off.
Cookies and cake. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. I don't know.
No, communion. Yeah.
Talking about those little crackers?
Yeah.
Those are got me full of church. I like the ones shaped like teddy bears.
Oh, you got ones that shape like teddy bears? Like mom had a stick.
Yeah.
And the she's like in a cup that big.
That's why a lot of our guys went to the Jewish ceremony because they had actually food at the Jewish ceremony. I'd be like, you're not Jewish. I don't care. I want food.
Well, they're all good.
Because in the military, you could go to church because it gave you a respite. You know, like when you're
Yes,
in basic,
yes.
to get away from the drill sergeant. Such a lovely color you have on there.
Thank you very much. Trying to look a little springy here. I know. It's supposed to, by the end of the week, it's not supposed to be so springy. I heard. It's like possible freezing by the end of the week. Just a quick freeze. Just in Amarillo.
That's the weather.
Yeah. Just don't put out your plant plants yet, freeze.
All right, so first let's start with your name,
Yes.
first and last, how you spell them, and then your position.
Sure.